He said it because of his wet blanket energy.
Unhinged. That's actually unhinged.
Hello and welcome to She's All Batch. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Jackie.
And we really don't care if you're here for the right reasons. We're just happy that you're here.
Yes, so come join us as we talk shit about our favorite show. And there is so much shit to talk from this episode. How are you feeling, Stephanie? Because Grant's season is bringing me back to life a little bit.
It's bringing me back to life. I feel like we've gotten more drama in 3 episodes than some seasons have had in an entire season. Like Grant's women are really delivering, and I'm really pleased with what's going on this season.
Me too.
There'll be some people that'll say there's not enough focus on love stories, but you guys had that with Joan's season. Now it's our turn. It's our turn to play. This is our Super Bowl.
Exactly. Right. Like if you want to see a love story, like, I don't know, watch like a rom-com or something. This is reality television, people. And yes, I agree. The drama has really been delivering. I said it last episode, but I'll say it again. It really feels like genuine drama. Like it feels like real feelings are involved. I love these women too. Like I really think this season was cast incredibly well. Even like taking the people that are bringing the drama aside, like there's so many just like great stunning women.
Cool
like
girls.
I'm obsessed with all of them. And then some of them that went home this past episode, I was like, no, like my girl Ellie Jo, like Chloe. Like I've in such a short amount of time, I've grown to like love these women. And I haven't had that feeling about an entire cast in a really long time. I think the last time was like Ari's season. I think Ari's season had a lot of like really great standout girls that ended up being really notable in the franchise. And I haven't felt that way. Like there's always been my favorites, but like as a collective, I'm like, these are great girls.
Yeah, to me, it's kind of reminding me of Chris Soules' season, which was my favorite.
Yeah.
Because there's so many standout girls from that cast. And that's kind of reminding me of this. Lots of different characters in the mix. And I'm excited to recap this because as I was watching, I was like, I have so much to talk about. This was messy. And
super messy.
And we need to unpack it.
Yeah, and I'm not even entirely sure that I know what's going on. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think when we were
I
first
asked that
watching it, well, sure. But when we were first watching it, you had texted me being like, oh, like this episode is so good. And I was like, wait, save it for the pod, I'm watching late. Like I'm still on Latia's dinner portion. And so I knew like something was going to happen. And then I saw your meme about it being production, but then you came back with more receipts that Grant actually did say to Rose the things that she maybe thought he said. So like I don't know what's true and what's not. And that is the problem here. And it's messy. And so much of this, we're not seeing people's mouths say words.
Well, this is a case for the FBI, and we are going to get to the bottom of it in this recap.
Let's start from the beginning, though. It's
a
very
start
good place
there.
to start.
Well, welcome back, Cold Opens. It's been a minute.
Wait,
I'm
that's
like,
so funny you said that. I wrote that down as my first note too. I said, okay, we have a cold open.
And like, I feel like a cold open is a sign of a good episode typically. And I'm just really happy that they did that. They didn't need to do it this episode because there was drama the entire time. But the fact that I knew that something good was coming later made it that much better.
And at least it delivered, because sometimes we get cold opens that is teasing drama that ends up being nothing, but this was like legitimately something. So
in the cold open, we see Karolina confronting Grant, which we will get to later this episode. So the Bachelor is looking for a man in finance, and we have our first group date of the episode. It is every single person on this group date except
Karolina and Beverly, which is a whole other thing. That could also be a conspiracy that we need to unpack too.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here. So they go to Bachelor School of Finance and learn about finance, but really it's just like a personality contest where Hannah Berner gives you Grant bucks for being funny.
Yes, exactly. And initially I was kind of not excited, but I was like, oh, wow, here's another example of a group date that could actually inform who you would want to be with in the real world. Like, oh, are they actually going to talk about finance? And then it obviously like didn't end up being that. But I thought it was interesting that like the past 2 group dates have actually been, I feel like Grant really genuinely is approaching this as like I'm trying to figure out who would be the best match for me. You know?
I'm not buying it. I still am not on board. I think he wants a girlfriend.
At least like approaching it that way. You really are not on board still?
I think
Well,
he
he
wants
does
a
rap
girlfriend.
later, which I did note.
Yeah. And at one point, Karolina says to him, like, oh, like, are we going to go to Vegas and get married? And he's like, you want to get married? And like made it like, well, Grant, remember you are on The Bachelor. You're not supposed
I
to
thought
act like
he
you're
was
afraid
just
of
kind of
that.
acting that way though, like because they were going to Vegas and he was like, "Boy, you want to get married like now, today?
Yeah,
like
I
this is
know.
not for a few weeks time."
Right. We have to wait at least 3 weeks before we get married. Crazy. Let's not be ridiculous. So yeah, we learned some things about the girls. For example, Alex, the most risque thing she ever bought was a plug. I'm
Yeah.
assuming that's a butt plug, right?
Yeah. I was assuming that as well. I'm curious, like, I was trying to think like what my answers would be for some of these. Like, Stefanie, has
How
your
much
credit
should
card
an
ever been
engagement?
declined?
Oh, what has yours?
No. Only
No.
when they think it's fraud. You know what I mean? Like when you're
Yeah.
traveling, sometimes it will decline
Oh,
and you have to
yeah.
call them, but never because I've like maxed it out or anything.
And then how much should an engagement ring cost?
I have no sense of what this is supposed to be because isn't the tradition is it's supposed to be 3 months the guy's salary, but doesn't that sound kind of insane? But also
Yeah.
I feel like I'm hearing people spending like legitimately 20, 30 grand on a ring, which also
Yeah.
just feels crazy to me. How much is it supposed to cost?
There's no way to tell. I do think
There's
it's
no way
up
to
to
know.
the individual person. I think Allie Joe had it the best. I mean, she said, as long as it's on my finger and he has good taste. I think that was the appropriate answer.
To me, 20 grand on like one item feels crazy too. But like, are people doing that? Is that what we're doing these days?
I don't think so. I mean, I know a wedding is like 30 grand. So you're
A
going to
wedding?
spend. Yeah.
Like a whole party?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's more.
Well, I mean, I got married 10 years ago, but my wedding was like 30 grand.
Oh, wow. Okay. Because like my brother's getting married this year and I feel like it's like way more, but I have no clue. I have no sense of like.
I mean, this is in a post-pandemic world too. My sister got married post-pandemic and I got married pre-pandemic. I had a photography package that was like $1,200 and I think she got quoted from the same photographer and it was $7,000. So it
Ugh.
jumped that much in just a few years. Well, okay, what did you think about the Grant Bucks situation?
I felt fine about it. Like it is
What?
like just because it's like it's a game. What do you mean?
Yeah, just the whole gimmick of it. I mean, I think the fact that Bailey won and then she used fake money to purchase Grant's old t-shirt is just the most bizarre thing to me. But then when she's walking around the house in the t-shirt, everyone's like, "Oh my God, Bailey, like, did you buy that with your Grant bucks?" And I'm like, "What are we doing? What? This is fake. This is what's going on."
No, it was definitely weird. And I think the thing that made it even more awkward was that you said it best earlier that this was not actually a game about like sharing about your finances. This was a game about who could say the funniest answer to make Hannah Berner think you were funny and she would give you Grant bucks. So then Bailey wins, but it's very clear that Grant doesn't like Bailey. Like he literally sent her
obviously.
home at the end of this episode. And
Yeah.
so like I feel like normally in other group dates, not always because sometimes they're playing competition things and whoever wins, but usually the lead has a say in who wins to get the extra time and it's usually someone he likes, but I think it was very obvious that like Bailey was the funniest so she won.
Yeah.
But like he didn't really want to spend time with her. She's weirdly like spending money to wear his shirt around and I feel like that's what made it awkward was that he had no say in who got that extra time and it was someone that he clearly just didn't really have a connection with.
Right. And the extra time was like she just like sat on a couch with him and wore his t-shirt. Is it really his t-shirt? Like just like the Letterman's jacket. Like also, did Chloe take that home? Because she won that on the basketball date. And now his keepsake from his childhood, this stranger gets to bring it home. I think this is all weird. Something that we should look into.
From the childhood. I think they made it on the show. This t-shirt though, unclear because it's like
a white t-shirt. Like,
but she said it smelled like him. That's the only thing.
They could spray
I'm
it.
like, did they just spray it with Grant smell?
You know what would have been funnier? You know those t-shirts you can get with like a guy will get with his girlfriend's face on it all over?
Mm-hmm.
And it would be funny if they gave her a shirt and it was like Grant's face and then she just slept with it.
Yeah, because just having a normal white t-shirt, I mean, I get it for the smell aspect. Like smell is very powerful.
Back when I had it.
Back when you had it. Oh yeah, R.I.P. Your sense of smell.
I'm working on it. I bought a smell test.
How does one
kit.
work on their smell?
I don't know. Long COVID girls, stand up. I bought a smell repair testing kit with its like essential oils, and you're supposed to sniff it like each individual scent twice a day. And they say after like 8 weeks, it's so basically it'll say like it'll be a thing of like grapefruit essential oils, and I smell it. And while I smell it, I'm supposed to think about grapefruit. And I do actually think it's working. Like I envision it. And even though I don't smell what I know I'm supposed to smell, the logic is that like your brain is going to
like rewire your brain. Yeah. Basically like rewiring your brain to understand what certain smells are.
Right. Yeah, because I smell things, I just don't smell them correctly. So if I walk into a room and it smells weird, sometimes I'm like, does it actually smell weird, or is it just my interpretation of whatever smell? So
no, I remember there was one time we were in like a car somewhere. I don't even remember where we were going. Maybe Audrey's, honestly. And I sprayed like something, like some perfume. And you were like, I believe you that this smells good. But like to me, it absolutely does not smell good. But I know that I'm wrong. And that's just so insane to me.
And I love like cologne on a guy is the hottest thing in the world, and I would love to have like a boyfriend's sweatshirt sprayed in cologne. So I get why Bailey wanted that, but
if you got it, it might not even smell good.
It probably would not. It would smell like chemicals. So good thing I'm not Bailey. If I were in Bailey's shoes and I had all these Grant bucks, I don't know, what was it, like a toast with him? Lame. I think I wrote it
down. One more question, not to harp on your long COVID, but do tastes taste different to you?
It used to. Taste is back.
Oh, great.
Okay. For the most part, I can't drink soda. Soda tastes like paint, like any carbonated soda drink. And I used to drink.
This fascinating, and I hope our listeners do too, because I keep harping on it, because it's just like so wild that like this is clearly like a neurological.
Oh, it's brain damage. It's crazy. It's been over 3 years.
Okay. Anyway, so can we talk about Parisa's Chubby Bunny activity? Because I thought that was weird and gross, but then it got her the group date rose. Well, I'm just like, I feel like we're like choking ourselves for so basically, okay, since you were blinking, I'll explain it to you. She just like was putting, I don't know if it was like Rice Krispie treats or like marshmallows or like something in your mouth. And every single time you put one, you put one in and you have to say Chubby Bunny, and then you keep going, and then Grant would put one in and say Chubby Bunny, and you keep doing it until like you literally like can't speak anymore because your whole mouth is filled with whatever you put in your mouth.
That's a hazard.
No, that's what I'm saying. I was getting so stressed out. I'm like, this is how someone chokes and dies. But
so what's the point?
To show Grant her playful side.
Oh,
and
then
she got the group date rose for it.
Yeah.
But I just found it, I was like, this is not cute. Also, you're like trying to say Chubby Bunny and like food is coming out of your mouth. It was a choice for sure, but it worked. So who am I to judge? We'll see when it's Parisa's time to go. But she's obviously like, she's not in my top 4. Who is my top 4 who's your top 4 as of now? Mine is
Latia, Juliana.
Yeah. Karolina.
Oh, I don't know. I just know the 2, I think. I need to think about this.
Okay. We'll circle back. Let's talk about Zoe.
Let's talk about her.
Like something about this is not adding up, and I can't tell if like Zoe is just really drunk because she's drinking martinis, which like is a choice. There's something going on behind the scenes because all of the sudden Zoe's like having a problem and crying, and I was just kind of like, because she was taking the game too seriously and all the other girls were like joking, and I was just like, respectfully, like, why are you crying right now?
Yeah, and then she cries later and says that Serafina said her dress was too short and she ran to Grant and told on her but didn't say it was Serafina. And it's just like, 1, why would Serafina randomly say that? But 2, why did we not catch that on camera? And like this whole episode, everyone's crying way too much over things that are not worth tears.
Yeah, well, so Serafina does say your dress is short, but she doesn't say it to Zoe, and we don't see who she's saying. We see her say those words. We have no context of where that was said because she doesn't say it to Zoe. And Zoe's whole thing was like, oh, she overheard them saying it. But I think Serafina could have totally been saying that about anything, right? Like we have no context. It's just like a clip of her face saying your dress is short or like something of that nature.
But like, was your dress short? Like,
and her dress wasn't even that short.
But who cares?
1, literally, who cares? 2, looking at Zoe's dress compared to everyone else's dress, it seems like appropriate.
It was the same.
Like it was a short dress, but like they're all like cute girls wearing short dresses on a date. Like it's not that deep. I don't think Serafina really said that to Zoe in a way to like make fun of her or at all. period,
It
actually.
seems like more of a fact than a diss. Like if she said you look slutty, sure, that's a diss. But she's saying your dress is short. It's like factually, yes, it is. It's a mini dress. Like who cares?
And maybe that was the context. Or maybe Serafina was talking to another girl being like, oh yeah, something like, yeah, and your dress is short, so like your legs are showing. Or like who even knows? But that was kind of what it seemed like to me, that this was a taken out of context clip. They did show us like her saying those words, but I don't know who is, like, obviously a producer is riling Zoe up and getting her worked up about this.
Whoever
right?
is in Zoe's corner is doing a great job, because she just is spiraling every single episode over things that I don't think are worthy of spiraling over.
So who knows what's being said in Zoe's ear though, right? Like she could be hearing things from producers like, oh yeah, like Serafina said your dress is short, and you know, they're still really mad that you took him from the group date, and they said this and that. Like, who knows? I also thought it was equally weird though that, so Zoe says to Grant that, you know, there's mean girls, whatever, it's a dress at the group date. And then the next day, all these girls are like bawling their eyes out because because Zoe said they were mean, and they're like, I'm not mean. Like Alex was like bawling, and she was like, I'm not mean. I try to include her in things. And it's like, okay, what's happening? Are you guys ready to optimize your nutrition this year? Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that make eating well super easy. If you guys are like me and are trying to eat healthier in the new year, that's your New Year's resolution, then highly recommend Factor. They're dietitian approved and ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes, which is amazing because literally who has time to cook these days? So you can fuel right and feel great no matter what life throws at you. Basically how it works is Factor arrives fresh and fully prepared, perfect for any active, busy lifestyle. And you can lose up to 8 pounds in 8 weeks with their keto meal. So if you guys are interested in trying a different diet style, Factor has all different types of meals that work with whatever you're trying to do. They have 40 options across 8 different dietary preferences on the menu each week. So it's super easy to pick meals that are tailored to your goals and preferences. You can choose from things like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto. So they have all different types. Factor can help you feel your best all day long with wholesome smoothies, breakfast, grab-and-go snacks, and more add-ons. So reach your goals this year with ingredients that you can trust and convenience that you can't beat. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/she'sallbatch50 off. That's code she'sallbatch50 off. And that will get you 50% off your first box plus free shipping. So that is code she'sallbatch50 off at factormeals, factormeals.com/she'sallbatch50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box.
To me, it was kind of feeling a little like guilty in the room, because when Grant addressed the group, it was very much like, and none for Gretchen Wiener's bye. Like he said what he had to say and then pieced out like, I'm going to drop a bomb and I'm going to walk out of the room and just let everything go up in flames. He just says, you know, there's rumors that girls are belittling one another. We have to be kind to each other. Okay, bye. And then leaves, and everyone's left confused. The next morning when everyone starts crying, I feel like it's from a place of what does he know that I did? Because if I didn't belittle someone, or if I didn't argue with someone, I wouldn't assume he's talking about me and assume it's something I did. But to see Alex bawling, I was like, what do you think that you're going to get caught for?
Right.
If you didn't have, and then her saying like, I've tried to include her. One, he didn't say it was about Zoe, or it may have came out that it was assumed, but he didn't say it was Zoe.
Yeah.
So to get so worked up over her saying, it seemed weird to me. I just feel like a person that had no interaction with Zoe and has been totally cordial wouldn't be crying like that.
No, that's a good point. So I think the thing that's frustrating though is it's just that like there's a lot that we're not seeing, right? So like, because if your theory is correct, then Alex clearly said something to Zoe at some point, but we're not seeing that. Why would we not be seeing that? Maybe Alex makes it really far and they don't want her to like look bad. Clearly people are in Zoe's ear. So that's the part that's frustrating to me, is it's like we're too smart to believe the narrative they're showing us. But now I'm just kind of annoyed because I'm like, all right, well, show us like what's really happening. I think that would actually be a very interesting show if they like broke the fourth wall a little bit and also like put the producers in there so we could see what's being said to Zoe, like what's being said to Karolina, what's being said to Rose.
Right. So we then don't have to go back to previous episodes and fact check what's actually going on when rumors start to spread. So we have
Yeah.
Karolina's one-on-one.
Grant's rapping again.
Yeah, they're rapping on the private jet on the way to Vegas. And I don't know. I don't know why at this point the editors aren't editing it out. It's now in the media that fans are thinking that Grant is here for
really?
fame. Yeah, I mean, because it's really it's everywhere.
It's been every episode.
I mean, it's been every episode, and like that wasn't necessary to the episode or the date. They could have taken it out. I don't think it was nearly as bad as episode 2 when he literally breaks out into full a cappella song, but nonetheless, still something I'm clocking.
All right, but you know what? Even fame-hungry wannabe musicians need love too.
2 things can be true at the same time.
Exactly.
Okay.
I didn't understand like what they were doing. Obviously, like I understood it, but I'm like, is bungee jumping mixed with zip lining? Question mark.
I was like, wait, there was no parachute when they jumped.
Yeah. And there's
no person attached to them. And there was no like thing that you bounce up. So I'm like, what is this? I did have that thought too. You just jump off a building and hope for the best, but you're on this cord.
Yeah, they're on the cord, so it's like they can't really like fall.
I guess not. But usually there's someone that goes with you.
Yeah.
Like a professional. So that part kind of threw me. Someone Googled because they're like, I'm checking on ABC's budget and like you could do this in Vegas. And it was like $300 to be able to do that. Like these dates, Alex's abandoned mall date, and now they're jumping off a building, but it's only a few $100s. Like they're really not. I guess all the money went to
a private jet.
The private jet. Yeah.
Right.
Which is not good for the environment to fly that short of a distance.
That's true.
So,
especially
what are they
going to
do?
But what are they going to do? Drive 6 hours to Vegas and then drive like spend the whole day.
Jackie,
but that would be
a day. Yes. Then the car breaks down and Grant has to change the tire and Karolina's like, God, Grant, you don't know what you're doing. I don't want that in a man. And then they fight.
Yeah,
that actually would be stop for gas, and she like watches how he pumps the gas, and she goes in and gets the snacks, but she doesn't get the right snacks, and it's a whole thing. That's where you learn about someone on a 6-hour road trip.
Agreed.
At the night portion of the date, Karolina opens up about her disability. She has epilepsy and had a seizure when she was younger, and she has it under control with medication now. But some people on Twitter were like, I mean, the girl with epilepsy, you're having her, 1, go to Vegas where there's bright flashing lights everywhere, and 2, making her jump off a building. It just seems like an odd choice for someone that's opening up about her disability. And
yeah, it was unclear. And she was like obviously very emotional about it. And I'm sure it was like very difficult for her like having that. And, she was very much like, oh, Grant needs to be able to like accept me for this and like be there for me and support me. But yeah, it's unclear to me how this actually affects her life now, because she said, she was like, look, I can go to concerts. I just need to then rest the next day. And it's like, okay, she has medication, so she shouldn't be having seizures. She went to Vegas. She did the bungee jumping, zip lining thing.
Yeah. Well, it seems like she has it very much under control now.
Yeah.
But it seems like the type of thing she knows that if she doesn't keep it under control, that's when she could potentially have an issue. So I guess knowing that you always have to be on top of what's going on with your body is something in itself. And he also just knowing that this guy needs to be understanding. If she's goes to a concert or she goes bungee jumping and the next day she's like, look, I can't go to this now because I just need to recharge. He needs to be okay with that. I understand her feeling the need to tell him about it. I didn't really know much about epilepsy prior.
I still don't even really know much about it. So no, I understand why she needed to tell him about it. But like, he would be a huge asshole if he was like, actually, deal breaker. After a concert, I need to go party again. And like, you know what I mean? Like, what is he gonna say?
Yeah.
I guess it's one of those things where it's like she has to tell him. He's gonna say he's okay with it, and then like time is gonna tell whether like he's actually gonna be a good partner and supportive to her in this, right? Like, because you don't really know,
right? I mean, despite their heavy makeout session, I'm kind of getting brother and sister vibes from them.
What?
Like, I just don't feel like there's super. I think they're very buddy. Sound off in the comments below. Am I the only one like
super into her and like super attracted to her?
I think he's attracted to her, but I'm just feeling super friend zoney vibes. I'm really curious if I'm alone on this. So if you are watching on YouTube, can you please sound off in the comments below and let me know? Do you like? Does anyone think that Karolina is going to be the final one? I think she's a front runner, but I think in the end it's going to be, oh, it just wasn't enough. Like it just isn't there type thing. I think it'll be friend zoned at the end is what I mean.
I thought she had potential to at least be like top 3 or 4 up until the end of this episode. Like the spiraling is a little much. And I think that's eventually going to be
we gotta get
pushes
to that.
him away. But before that, like during this date, I thought she's front runner for sure. I'm not getting brother sister. So I don't know. But I do think he likes Juliana and Latia more. But totally. I do think he really likes her.
I think he likes her. I see her as a top 4. I agree. I do think the drama that comes later in the episode is starting to make me question how she's going to get to hometowns, but I think there's still a shot. I just think by the time she goes home, we will all be in agreement like, oh, you know, they love each other, but they're not in love with each other type thing.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
So, I mean, Karolina gets the rose, no surprise. And then we learn right after that Beverly got sick and has left the show. And we're just like, goodbye, Beverly, moving on. We're going to do all these makeshift dates in your place. And I have a question.
So weird. I have so many questions, but what's your first question?
So many questions. Well, I mean, it's probably not your first question, but how long was Beverly's date supposed to be if in its place we have a 3-on-1 date, a 1-on-1 date with Latia, and an entire prom? Like, what was Beverly going to do that they kept adding things, and I'm looking at the clock and I'm like,
the prom was separate. The prom was like before the rose ceremony.
It was like their version of the cocktail party, which
so I think that was going to happen regardless. And
but
then
it came with a
one-on-one date.
I know.
True.
No, they got a card, and I was like, I literally sat up and I'm like, wait, are we doing another group date? Like, how long was Beverly's in her absence? We have to fill in all these things that the producers had planned. I just thought that was funny. Like, girl, you probably were gonna like actually drive to Vegas and have a 6-hour road trip with him because they needed to plan for that.
Well, no. So I understood it that her actual date was the Vanderpump Dogs daytime and then dinner nighttime. And then separately, like in lieu of a normal cocktail party, they did the prom. That was always going to happen.
I'm kind of teasing, but
I have so many questions about Beverly though. One.
Let's do it.
Okay. How sick does this girl have to be to literally leave the show and never come back? Like it's not,
we don't know
not a situation. Okay. But it's clearly not a situation though, where she has like the flu or a stomach bug and it's like, oh, she's not feeling well. She's going to go rest and she'll rejoin in a week or two. So what happened to her? And why is it not on camera? And if it's really that serious, why aren't we saying it's something very serious?
She may not want to share that on TV right now. If it is, imagine, Beverly was not someone we saw a ton of in the first 3 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Could it be that if she got the flu or if she got the stomach bug, she is feeling so horrible? Like, would you have one of those illnesses? Like, you are dying. You're in a house that's not yours. You're around people that are really just strangers. And you have a guy that maybe you like, I don't even know him. What am I doing here? I just want to go home. It could always just be that. Like, I'm really sick right now. And yes, I may feel better in 3 days, but like, do I really want to be here? That's one. 2, what if it was something more serious and she just, by the time it all kind of transpired, she was already gone? Like, what if she like went to a doctor and they're like, oh yeah, no, you got to go home. It wasn't priority to have a producer be like, so Beverly, can you tell us about your illness?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Has she posted anything or like, I don't even. Oh, she said, ugh, so annoying.
Why?
It says, getting so many questions about why I had to leave. Make sure to listen to Bachelor Happy Hour tomorrow and find out why. Which
Beverly,
that was posted 11 hours ago. So that means, I guess, today.
So guys, if you are watching this on YouTube right now and you listen to the Bachelor Happy Hour episode, sound off in the comments below and let us know what happened to Beverly.
Okay, and so someone was like, now do we really need to send Beverly home when we could have done this? And they showed a picture of like when Zach was doing the Zoom
COVID
dates. Yeah.
Oh God. Ew, God, remember that? What a time.
Okay, so there's more to the story, I guess. Maybe she was really, really seriously sick and now is more comfortable talking about it, but we're not going to know until we listen to Bachelor Happy Hour, which I'm not going to listen to that. So you guys just tell me what happened.
Beverly is feeling better. That's my priority in this situation.
Sure.
But crazy that you had to leave the whole damn show. But lucky for Serafina, Dina, and Latia because they get a little mini group date at Vanderpump Dogs.
Yeah.
Serafina says meeting Lisa Vanderpump is a life goal of hers. Dream big, baby.
That's like a goal that could be accomplished, I feel, relatively
Well, it did.
easily.
She did. She got it. Crossed that one off the bucket
but like
list.
Lisa Vanderpump is like around a lot. I've met her a few times randomly, like at a wine thing in the Hamptons, and then she's always at her restaurants too. Like if you go there in LA, she's just like sitting around. Her restaurants are bad though, low key.
Yeah.
Like so overpriced and bad. Like the food is not good. Like whatever, it doesn't matter. But
no, it does.
Vanderpump Dog. Okay, it matters, guys. Don't go to Pump is closed now, but don't go to Sir. It's a ripoff.
Wait, I would go to Sir though.
Of course, that's the whole point, right? People go to Sir because it's Sir and they want to try to see the people, but the food is not good. But that's fine.
Interesting. That would really upset Lisa Vanderpump. Are the glasses polished? That's what I need to know. Did you see any fingerprints on the glasses? She would never let that happen.
No, she would
honestly
never.
When she put the girls to work, the first thing in my head, when she's like, oh, give this dog a bath, I thought she was going to tell one of the girls to start polishing the glasses because that's all she would ever do. Go in the other room and polish the glasses.
But I thought this was like a cute little date. I enjoyed it.
If this was Beverly's date, this like kind of blows, I think. I mean, Karolina gets a private jet to Vegas and you get to sit. I mean, sure, dogs are great.
Right,
what you're actually doing. I mean, like when Grant is literally just like walking a dog on a leash with Serafina and they're just walking down the block. It's like, okay, it's not super exciting, but I guess it's real life-ish.
They can talk about if they want a dog
You didn't
together.
have to like, are you picking up the poop, Grant? Did you bring a bag?
Right. Like did the dog wreck your favorite pair of shoes and you're like mad, but you have to keep it together and like not yell at each other? Yeah.
Yeah. No. That's when you get to the bottom of things. Jackie, why don't we just like, you don't think we can make our own show with that concept? Because I feel like it would be successful.
I feel like we could 100%.
There's supposed to be drama
about this.
We'll look into it. There's no way to talk.
Okay. Yeah, there's no way to know. Sorry, what were you going to say? There was supposed to be drama about what?
No, like in our show, there will be like lots of drama, but we'll make it that it's legitimate real life drama. So when they're falling in love, they actually are getting a grasp of who the person is rather than like, oh, were you funny in the finance date or were you not? Or did you win the most grant box? Like, no. Yeah. Do you know how to pick up poop? And are you going to be like a
good partner and a teammate? Yeah. No, agreed. And if someone steals this, you know what is going to happen? In like a year from now, some network is going to come out with the same show and we're going to have to fight and be like, we had this idea first and you guys copied us. And then we'll be in another lawsuit.
Speaking of lawsuits, we keep saying we're going to give updates and then we don't.
Yeah. Because I just get nervous about like the defamation of it all. But
I'm not nervous. Well, okay. No, I'm not nervous. Okay. Guys, for those of you that have followed Gossgate, we have an update.
Ever since we switched to putting our show on YouTube, a bunch of you guys have been DMing me and leaving comments saying that my skin has been skinning, which I definitely appreciate. I really love taking good care of my skin, but honestly, I feel like I've been seeing the most difference since I switched to Blissy silk pillowcases. I honestly think I've been seeing less fine lines and healthier hair in just a few weeks. Silk pillowcases are so much better for you than satin, which is made from synthetics, and it can be rough on your hair and your skin, and they're cheap for a reason, right? Like you need to pay for the good quality silk, and Blissy pillowcases are 100% mulberry silk. They have anti-aging properties, they reduce fine lines, and they reduce wrinkles over time. It also eliminates frizz, preserves hairstyles, and protects color-treated hair. Blissy pillowcases are dermatologist recommended and clinically proven to not clog your pores, unlike cotton. They have so many cool different collections, over 70 colors, including a Harry Potter line and a Wicked line. So I think you guys can guess which pillowcases I am using in my own personal bedroom. So because you guys are She's All Batch listeners, Blissy is offering 60 nights risk-free plus an additional 30% off when you shop at blissy.com/batch30. That's Blissy, BLISSY.com/batch, BACH30, and use code batch30 to get an additional 30% off. Your skin and hair will thank you.
So as some of you know, we currently have a lawsuit pending with them, and we have a UK-based lawyer because they're not like in the US.
They're
like
not
their
based in the
headquarters.
US.
They're not based in the US. So we had to get a UK based lawyer, which is why we couldn't just go to small claims court, which we should have been able to. And if you don't know, it's just a brand that bought ads on our podcast and then just said that
didn't pay.
So
we basically are suing them for breach of contract.
And the money that they owed us.
Yeah, and the money that they owed us. And they countersued us with defamation because Stefanie made a TikTok explaining the situation when we first felt like powerless because before we got the lawyer involved, we were going to small claims court. They said we couldn't do anything. We felt so powerless. Stefanie made a TikTok explaining the situation. They claimed that was defamation. However, the update is right before Christmas, the trial, it was like a preliminary hearing in front of like a judge in the like the court system is so different in the UK, so I don't even ever fully understand what's going on. Our lawyer just explains it to us, but they struck out the defamation countersuit but kept our breach of contract. So they basically were
we're
like
still in the running, but their countersuit to us
yeah, they were
is
like
not
this
in the
defamation suit bullshit, it's not a thing, but our breach of contract, obviously we have ground we're obviously.
I mean,
right
you literally breached the contract. What are you talking about? So I just think it's funny that means that in a courtroom somewhere in the UK, they're playing my TikTok videos to decide whether or not it was defamation. And I knew it wasn't defamation. Like I wasn't fearful. Also, my best friend's a lawyer. And before I posted it, I said, I'm like, is there any issue here? And she said no. But I knew that it wasn't defamation because I told exactly what happened, and that's not defamation. So
anyway,
now we are currently waiting. Yeah.
Because our lawyer was like, let's try maybe one more time to try to settle with them. So we're like, okay, fine. They have yet to respond to us, I think. That's Goss. So if they don't respond though, like we have to draft up like witness statements and basically like it's going to be presented in court. And then a jury, I guess, is going to decide if they do that over there across the pond.
And just for context, the ads that we are talking about ran in the premiere of Gary's season of The Golden Bachelor. That's how long we are fighting for this money that they owe us. And the ads are still in the episode too. We could have taken them out, but they've been in there this entire time.
Well, we couldn't even really take them out because they brought out the whole episode and we integrated mentioning them throughout the whole thing. So it just,
I forgot about that.
That's part of it. Yeah. So we'll keep you guys updated, but we're just waiting to hear, like, I think we have a court date. Did they say in April?
I think so.
Or a preliminary date or something is happening in April. So we have to draft up our statements before then.
Yeah. But I mean, let's hope justice is served.
Yes.
And we'll keep you posted.
Yeah, we will. Okay. What else do we need to talk about from this? So Vanderpump dogs. They walk the dogs. They wash the dogs. Fun times. They promote. Is Vanderpump Villa on Hulu and that's why they're doing this? Yeah, right?
Oh, maybe. Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know though. So they don't say, like, we don't see as viewers that Grant picks one of the girls to have a one-on-one date with. All of a sudden, they're just back at the house and Dina and Serafina come home and they're like, oh yeah, Latia gets to stay and have dinner with him. And it's like, okay, it would have been nice to see how he came to that decision. But yeah, Latia essentially gets a one-on-one date. I don't know what I would prefer because put yourself in her shoes, she's probably not going to get a real one-on-one date now for a while. She may get one towards the end of the season, but she just technically got one, but it wasn't like really a full one because she spent the day portion with two other girls. And sometimes these last minute makeshift dates are not ideal because that takes your spot away from maybe a one-on-one date that was actually planned with you in mind.
You know? I agree, but I don't think this should count. But I agree with you that
it will.
She will maybe get a one-on-one date later on in the season just because it's like we already saw Latia. We don't need to see more. Like they want to space it out. You know what I mean? But I do think if Grant is serious about her, he'll take her on a one-on-one date later.
I think he will because I think she's a front runner, but I would struggle being her knowing like, oh, damn, like that was my one-on-one. So the dinner with Latia ends. Grant tells her that he's starting to develop feelings for her and she gets the rose. Also, Latia gets to FaceTime her mom, which was kind of cool.
Who decides that? Whose phone is that? A producer's phone?
Yeah.
I know, but it's like, why does she get to get some FaceTime? Like, I'm sure all of those girls would like to be able to call their families and say hello. Yeah. And just Latia gets it?
Yeah. I'm sure things are happening off camera. It was nice for her to have that little moment with her mom.
Yeah.
So
let's get into it.
We're back at the house now. And Karolina is now kind of spiraling and venting out loud, seeing Grant take the other three women on this date right after she went on her bungee jumping date. She's struggling, and she flat out says, "I wish I didn't even go on my date." Meaning, like, because it's so hard for her to cope with him seeing him with other women. But that's not what she says. Like, she's like, "I just wish I didn't even go on my date." And every girl around her is like, "Girl, what did you think of that?"
Yeah,
I got what she meant.
I got what she meant too. I just also was getting a little frustrated because it's like, what did you expect? Like, girl, this is the show, unfortunately. Like, you can't get every date. And so, yeah, obviously you're going to have a one-on-one date, and then he's going to have to take other people. Like, that's not how this works, where he can just keep taking you. Like, you guys did have a strong connection, and him taking someone else on a date now doesn't take away from that. So I know, like, I'm sure a lot of people are in her ear. She's away from her support system, and she's just being wound up. So it's like, it's not her fault. But I was a little annoyed because I'm just like, well, this is what it is. Like, if you have such a problem with it, go home, I guess.
She does address in a confessional, though. She's like, "Look, I know what I signed up for, but just because I know what I signed up for," yeah, she did. And she said, "Just because I know what I signed up for doesn't make it any easier to see him take girls on a date right after I came home," and which I get. I just think saying out loud, "I wish I never had the date to begin with," in front of girls who didn't have the date is just stupid. But
yeah,
I think that's
all
something she'll
reads a little like, she's just in her own head and not aware of like how she's coming off to anyone.
We also learned that Rose said that when Karolina and Grant danced together on last week's group date, Grant said he was thinking about Rose. Why, first and foremost, why would Rose tell Karolina that? Like, we later learn in the episode that they were like off in a room together, just like kind of chatting and whatever. And Rose tells her that. But in what situation would you tell your friend, like, "Hey, while he was dancing with you, he was thinking about me"? Like, what were you trying to gain with the conversation?
Well, that's the $1 million question here, right?
Did she really say that, or did she say something else and Karolina kind of misconstrued it?
That's a possibility. There's also a possibility that a producer was in Rose's ear being like, "Oh yeah, no, like, that's kind of like, you should tell her that. Like, she has the right to know that he said that to you, blah, blah, blah. It could be disrespectful, blah, blah." Like, you just don't know. I think let's unpack though, like,
what went down
was presented to us, because initially when Grant confronts Rose and he's like, "Why would you say that I said that? Like, that's a lie." She says, "Oh, well, I just thought that you said," or what did she exactly say?
I have it. She said, "I thought that was something I heard you said."
I heard you said. Right. So it's like, so she's not saying that she heard that from him directly. She thought that was something she heard he said. So maybe someone else said that to her, or she's saying, maybe you didn't really say those words, but that's how I like heard it and interpreted it. And so she apologizes or whatever. So initially, I think my first reaction, and based on like your first meme, was, oh, someone is telling her, "Oh, hey, by the way, yeah, Grant said this, blah, 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 blah." But then we rolled back the tapes, and he did say something to that extent to her, in which case now I'm kind of side-eyeing Grant, because he's so like, "That's blatantly a lie. That's what a player would say. And I'm not a player. I'm here to find my wife." And it's like, well, you did say that in a way. So now he's like painting Rose to be so bad. And Grant, you said that. Like, we have it on tape.
Yeah, it's really hard to lie when you're being recorded and your footage is being played for all of America to see, Grant. But when Rose initially said, "I thought that was something I heard you say," I was like, "Oh, classic." Like, she can't say, "Oh, the producer over there told me you said that. And now I realize on the spot I'm a pawn in their little game." That's what I thought was 100% happening. It wasn't until I saw that Grant really did say that I'm like, wait, so Grant's the one almost a little bit gaslighting her.
Yeah.
He made her feel like she had made it up and she was crazy. I have the audio, which we'll put if you're watching on video, and you could see his face and everything.
Well, I'm not going to sit here and lie. You're somebody that I do think about, and I just want to make sure that you know that, because I'm very interested in you. Like even today, right? The whole dancing thing on stage and everything. I was thinking about you.
So while he doesn't say, while I was dancing with Karolina, I was thinking about you, he does say, while, we're on the date and we're dancing, I was thinking about you. Shall I point out, though, the dancing didn't just happen with Karolina. They all danced, didn't they? Wasn't it like a thing where it was the Pussycat doll came out and taught them how to dance? So for the most part, everyone did dancing on stage. So it really wasn't just Karolina that he could have been talking about. He may have just said, like, oh, yeah, on the date with the dancing and everything, I was thinking about you. I think he could have said, like, you stood out to me. I still notice you in a crowd.
Yeah.
But I don't think he was saying, when Karolina won the date and I had that special dance with her, I was wishing it was you. That's not what I think he was saying, but I think that's how she interpreted it.
Which that to me is like a fine classic miscommunication, right? Like he's saying one thing and she's mistaking it as another. I guess I just don't like the way he was like, no, that is a lie. Like, this is all your fault. As opposed to them both being able to come to the conclusion of like, oh, well, but you said blah. Right. Like, it's not a lie. And then he could then be like, oh, I see how you would think that, but like, that's not what I meant. And like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Right.
So I don't really like how it was like totally all turned on Rose. Cause this is just clearly a miscommunication then.
Right.
Also, so I don't like how he blamed her.
I don't either. And it kind of is, once again, I feel like I keep using the phrase power imbalance, but he is the lead on the show and she is just a contestant. And she probably feels really intimidated having to talk to the lead about something that he's confronting her about. It's awkward. And you're saying that he said this, and to you, he did, but he's telling you didn't. And it's probably really hard to say, like, Grant, we did have this conversation. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So she's like, oh, I thought it was something I heard you say. And after realizing he did say it, it makes me feel bad for her in that moment, because she completely just like crumbles and was like, okay, well, maybe I misheard you or something. And you feel bad for her.
Well, it's also embarrassing too, right? Like she's thinking it's like, he's saying, like,
yeah, this is a great moment.
Like, oh, and he's like, no, I would never say that about you. Like, he's not really saying it like that, but it's a blow to the ego and embarrassing for sure to think someone's saying something to validate you, and then they're like, no, I never said that. But why did she? Well, I want to know what the context is of her and Karolina's conversation, though, because why would she turn around to Karolina and be like, hey, by the way, Grant said he was thinking more about me? It's like,
there's no way.
But was it more like, because I don't know if it was Karolina or Rose that said this, that like conversation was them like chatting and like comparing notes or whatever. And maybe it could have been like Karolina's like, oh yeah, and so like he said this to me, blah, blah, blah. And then Rose was saying something like, oh yeah, and like, he was really validating to me. He said like, when we were dancing and stuff, he was thinking about me. Like maybe she didn't explicitly say to Karolina, like, he said that,
yes,
like, when he was dancing with you, he was thinking about me. She maybe just said, oh, he said when they were dancing, he was thinking of her. And then Karolina is the one who's like taking it personally, because like it's natural to always like think things are like more about you than someone is saying.
I think that's what really is what happened. Yeah. I posted, so Grant told Rose he was thinking about her during that date, but never specified Karolina. So either Rose twisted his words or Karolina is telling the story wrong. It's one of those two. And I don't think it's Rose. I think Rose told her the story the way it actually happened. And I think Karolina is internalizing it and saying, wait, Grant said he was thinking about you during the dancing on the date. I danced with him. So you were thinking about her when you were dancing with me. And I think she had jumped to those conclusions.
Yeah.
Just from what I'm gathering. Also, in the preview for next week, we see Rose saying, like, you did me dirty. And, like, we'll see what ends up happening. But I feel like she may have done her dirty. Because if Rose told her it, like, comparing notes, and she's saying what really was said, and then you twisted it and turned it into some big drama, you did do her dirty. Because she's not sitting there trying to stir up drama.
Yeah. No, I know. And it's unfortunate because, like, I don't even necessarily think Karolina is trying to pin this on Rose or throw her under the bus or make it seem like she lied. Unfortunately, I think Karolina just like has a twinge of insecurity that is now like being nurtured in this context, right? Like clearly like she's someone who is not going to like do well with all like the comparisons on this show. And so I could see like if you already have a twinge of insecurity in general, like I'm insecure like in relationships. Like I don't like knowing if someone I'm dating is like dating other people. So I can't imagine being on The Bachelor and you know you think you have a connection with someone and then they go and take someone else on a date. Like I would hate that. And so if that's already like brewing in Karolina, I think like the littlest things could like in her head make her spiral and make her start telling herself this narrative and this story of like, oh, he doesn't even care about me. Like he was thinking about all these other girls and our date meant nothing. Like I think it's very easy to quickly just tell yourself a story that's fabricated and not true if you already have that seedling of insecurity.
She's like a producer's dream. They're going to just keep pulling at that thread because they know that she's going to unravel and she's already giving them that. So why wouldn't they continue doing that? Also, can we discuss that when Karolina originally brought this up to Grant, he goes to guess who told her this story and guesses 3 times wrong? Like, Grant, quit while you're ahead. Also, like, to me, when he's like, Barely, Dina, Latia, how many girls were you talking to like that? That was my initial take. Like, someone told you that I was low-key bad-mouthing you. How many girls could it have been that you got it wrong 3 times?
I kind of took it as he like it was kind of like him expecting those girls to be like the gossipy, more like chatty ones. Like, oh, it was Bailey, it was Dina. But then when he said Latia, I was like, oh, Latia could never. So I don't know why he would say that. But
he could have just been naming girls that were on that date because then after he said those 3, he's like, oh, it had to have been Rose. And I'm like, oh, so he was just doing process of elimination, but like Bailey learning that she was the first name he threw out as the potential gossiper.
I would not like that.
Yeah.
So we'll see how this unfolds next week.
I don't love how Grant handled it though, because I think there should have been some acknowledgement for the fact that like, oh, yes, I could see where you were coming from with that. I did say what I meant was that you stand out to me in the group and I am really into you and I'm excited about you. And the fact that he's like, I didn't say that. I never said that. Why would I say that? And she just had to act like she made it up.
Yeah.
Like that's mortifying for her. Agreed. And there's a lot of people that don't know that he actually did say it and probably won't know until maybe the Women Tell All when they air the clip. I mean, send them this episode and we'll have the actual line in it. But yeah, I think he's going to I'm curious to see how this unfolds in the weeks to come because this is going to come to a head. We have the footage. You can't lie when you're on camera. But I do think that this was somewhat of a misunderstanding. I just don't like the lack of acknowledgement.
Agreed. Yeah. Well, like the fact that he was like, that is a lie. It's like, well, is it? Right. Anyway. Chloe, Bailey, and our Jersey girl, Allie Joe, go home. I thought Allie Joe was going to last longer just because she's a personality.
Yeah. And she was kind of feuding with Zoe.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised by Bailey.
No.
Chloe, I mean, I love her, but I don't know if Grant was really vibing with her.
I really liked her last episode, like during the basketball stuff when she won the jacket. I thought he was pretty into her, but I guess not.
Yeah. That's fleeting. That's last week. Now she just has a Letterman's jacket of someone she doesn't know. And Bailey goes home with a t-shirt of someone she doesn't know. Everyone gets parting gifts except Allie Joe.
I know.
Now next week we see that Juliana confronts Karolina because Karolina says, and again, we don't know what context this is in, but she's like, what are we all going to pretend like we know him when we're all in love with him? It's like, girl, you did just go on a one-on-one date with him and spend the whole day with him. You should know him somewhat. You don't feel, usually people after a one-on-one date act like they're closer than ever. And you're saying you don't even know him. So this feels real. It feels like, why are you saying these things, Karolina? Like, why are you saying you wish you didn't go on that date or that you don't know him?
I mean, I think she's just spiraling, right? I think you said it best that it's a producer's dream. They're just going to keep pulling that thread. And it's just like, it's not a good environment for her.
Later this week, we have a episode with April from The Golden Bachelor coming. So make sure you are subscribed wherever you're listening. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like this episode and subscribe as well so you don't miss when the April episode drops. And on Valentine's Day, we have a little special something coming to the audio feed as well that I think you guys are going to like.
Yeah.
So
big week.
make sure you like and subscribe. Wow, that was loud.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Yeah, you have to scream it so everyone can hear.
Is that it, Jackie?
I think that's it.
Okay, bye, bitches.